The championship four for the NASCAR Cup Series has been decided. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, and William Byron will be racing for a championship this weekend at Phoenix. In this video, we are going to look back at their playoffs to this point, talk a little bit about their 2025 seasons as a whole, and then take a look at all the races that these four guys have ran at Phoenix in the Gen 7 car, all 7 races since 2022. Looking at who's been strong at Phoenix, and then also talking about their past experiences in the Championship 4, if they even have any. Starting off with the number 5 of Kyle Larson, a 12.3 average finish throughout the 9 playoff races thus far, 340 points earned. That's pretty solid, that's an average of 37 points per race. Did not crack the top 10 at all inside of the round of 16, finished in the top 10 all 3 races in the round of 12. Second place at Las Vegas, 26th at Talladega, and then a 5th place run at Martinsville. He is the one driver to point his way in from the round of 8 into the Championship 4. He was in a good position there at Talladega before he ran out of gas, and then his worst finish in those 2 rounds has been 7th outside of that, so been a very strong second half of the playoffs for Kyle Larson here. Has not managed to win yet in the playoffs, but you can never count this guy out at Phoenix. Larson is going to be charging for his second championship. Denny Hamlin in the number 11 car, a 15.1 average finish, only 270 points earned through the 9 races, so not as much as Kyle Larson. However, Denny Hamlin has 2 wins in the 2025 playoffs to Kyle Larson's 0, winning in the round of 16 at Gateway and then winning the first race of the round of 8 at Las Vegas, punching his ticket in early. He's had a lot of time to prepare, simulate Phoenix. As I talked about in my race review video, who knows what they were doing at Martinsville there, if they were testing some experimental engine setups with him and Briscoe, since they were both already locked in. Outside of that, Denny Hamlin with a 2nd place run at Kansas, a 7th at Darlington. Only 4 top 10 finishes through 9 races in the playoffs. It definitely has been hit or miss for Denny Hamlin here, but he's been very good all season. We will talk a little bit more about that later. Hamlin pushing hard to win his first championship here towards the tail end of his career. Maybe the biggest surprise this season, Chase Briscoe with a 9.1 average finish through the 9 playoff races thus far, 337 points earned. Besides his engine failure at Martinsville, only finished outside of the top 10 once this playoffs. That was a 14th place run at the Charlotte Roval. 2 wins for him as well, winning the opener at Darlington in dominant fashion, and then a win at Talladega in the round of 8. A couple of 4th place finishes to go with a 2nd place run at Gateway, finishing the top 10 in the first 5 races of the playoffs. Briscoe has adjusted very well to Joe Gibbs Racing. Both Martin Truex Jr. and Carl Edwards unable to get Joe Gibbs Racing a championship in the number 19 car. Maybe Chase Briscoe is the one to do it this year. And then last but not least, we have William Byron here in the 24, a 14.3 average finish, has only earned 288 points throughout the playoffs. Only 3 finishes inside of the top 10 here, 2 of those coming inside of the round of 12, a 3rd place at New Hampshire and a 9th at Kansas. Obviously a dominant walk-off win at Martinsville, a good battle between him and Ryan Blaney, who was also under the cut line trying to race his way in. I think some of the results don't do him justice. Of course, he was running very strong at Las Vegas, was probably going to finish 2nd there, if not for that pit issue with Ty Dillon, and then was running towards the front at Talladega on that final restart, ended up in 25th position. So both of those races you could look at, and Byron could have been like 2-2-1 in this round or something. William Byron obviously started the year hot, winning the Daytona 500 for the 2nd consecutive season. Didn't win again until the summer though at Iowa, just his 3rd win of the year at Martinsville here. Nonetheless, Byron has been one of the best drivers in NASCAR's next-gen car as he searches for his first championship. Alright, taking a look at some of the stats from 2025. On the left side, it's going to be their rank across the entire series, and on the right, it's going to be their number. We will start with wins. The wins leader, Denny Hamlin, in the final 4, 6 wins on the season for Denny Hamlin. That is ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen's 5 road course victories. Hamlin has been strong at every track type, has been really fast this year. Couple big wins in the playoffs for him as well. Always nice when the win leader is in the final 4. Tied together at 4th, Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe, and William Byron. Of course, Shane Van Gisbergen is in 2nd in this category. Christopher Bell was 3rd with 4 wins in 2025. Larson, Briscoe, and Byron are also tied with Ryan Blaney, who has 3 wins on the season. Again, it's a final 4. These guys are tied for 4th in the series with wins. Didn't have anyone fluking their way into the final 4 this year, with only 1 or 2 wins and looking to get their 3rd one at Phoenix. We also have the top 5 leader of this series in the final 4. That is Chase Briscoe with 15 top 5s. Not going to lie, a little surprising to look this up and see that Briscoe was leading the series in top 5s this year. Quite a few 2nd place finishes to go along with his 3 wins this year. Can't say enough about how great of a season he's having, his first one with Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing. Second in the series is Denny Hamlin with 14 top 5s. He also shares that with Kyle Larson, who has 14. I've given the tiebreaker to Denny Hamlin, though, because he's only run 34 races instead of 35. Of course, missing Mexico earlier in the season for the birth of his child. But if you want to get technical, him and Larson are tied together for second in this category. They are also tied with non-Final Four driver Ryan Blaney for second in the series. And then tied with the 6th most top 5s in the series is William Byron. He is tied with Hendrick Motorsports teammate Chase Elliott, who did not make the Final Four. Also behind Christopher Bell, who has 13 top 5s on the season. We have the win leader, we have the top 5 leader, we do not have the top 10 leader. Kyle Larson, the top of the guys in the Final Four. He is second in the series with 21 top 10s. That is behind Christopher Bell, who has recorded 22 top 10s in 35 races. Chase Briscoe, third in the series, 19 top 10s for the 19 car. Denny Hamlin, 6th in the series with 17 top 10 finishes. He is also behind Bell, along with Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott, both of those guys having 18. And then William Byron is in a 3-way tie for 7th position with 2 drivers, one of those being Chris Buescher, who didn't even make the playoffs this year with his 16 top 10 finishes. And then his Hendrick Motorsports teammate Alex Bowman. Same amount of top 10s for Bowman and Byron. Of course, Byron has the 3 wins and a couple more top 5s. Just thought that was interesting considering some of the narratives that go on there about Alex Bowman in the 48 car. And then the last category I'm looking at here is average finish. Chase Briscoe, second in the series with a 12.5 average finish. He is behind Christopher Bell, who leads the series with an 11.2 average finish. Kyle Larson has had the 4th best average finish in 2025 with a 13.5. On top of being behind Bell, he is also behind Hendrick Motorsports teammate Chase Elliott, who has a 12.7. William Byron just behind him, 5th in the series with a 14.0 average finish. And then Denny Hamlin, 7th in the series with a 14.2 average finish, just behind one of his cars, Tyler Reddick, who has a 14.1. Obviously, without his engine issue at Martinsville, he would be in a different position on this board, but there's been 35 races, 34 for Hamlin, so a large sample size on this one. Of course, you cannot make a video about the playoffs without talking about other points formats. That's just the way that this works. Where would these guys be in a season-long point standings? I know they would race differently, just gauging performance across the entire season here. William Byron would be leading the series with 1159 points. His teammate Kyle Larson, 11 back, 1148. That would be a great battle between those guys, especially when you consider stage points. Chase Briscoe would be 6th on this list with 1,064 points, minus 95, so he would have been mathematically eliminated. Same with 7th place Denny Hamlin, 1056. He is over 100 points back at 103, behind William Byron. These guys split by a couple non-Final Four drivers in positions 3 through 5. Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott. Bell would be the only other driver mathematically eligible for the championship, 25 points back of William Byron. A huge shout out to this commenter who has been following up on every race review video with what the chase format standings would be like in all 3 series. Where would these guys be in the hypothetical 10-race chase that I talked about in my What If I Was on the Playoff Committee video? Larson would be leading the standings at 2372. Chase Briscoe would be the closest Final Four driver in 3rd position, 25 points back on Kyle Larson. They would be split by Christopher Bell at 2366, who would just be 8 points back on Kyle Larson. 52 back from Kyle Larson in 4th position would be William Byron at 2320. Denny Hamlin would be mathematically eliminated from winning the championship, 74 points back from Kyle Larson at 2298. He would currently be 6th in the 12-driver chase. Again, those are not fully accurate. If we were in different point situations, do Briscoe and Hamlin blow engines? Do they get aggressive with the engine setup? I don't know. I'm just saying what the hypothetical numbers would be. Alright, so let's take a look at these 4 drivers and their stats at Phoenix in the Gen 7 car. We'll start with the number 5 of Kyle Larson. Been a very strong qualifier at Phoenix in the next gen car, only missing the top 10 twice, 17th in both of those. He has a pole in the first race of 2023, along with a couple 4th place starting positions. Larson with a DNF in the first run here, finishing in 34th, but earned 10 stage points in the race. Other than that, he's only missed the top 10 once. That was a 14th place finish at the first race in 2024. 4 top 5 finishes for him here in 7 starts, 2 4th places and 2 3rds. Also has a 9th to go with that. Has earned some pretty solid stage points here, including going 19 for 20 in the first race in 2023. Like with most tracks, Kyle Larson has been one of the best in the next gen car. Moving to Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, he also has a pole position coming at the first race in 2024, also with a couple of second place qualifying runs here coming in the first visit in 2022 and the first visit in 2023. Hasn't earned as many stage points as Kyle Larson, but if we take a look at earlier this year in 2025, he finished in second position. That's got to give a positive outlook for Denny Hamlin, the 11 team. They ran really good here in the spring. Need to convert that though in the fall. Just 3 top 10 finishes for Denny Hamlin here, but he's been close a couple times with a few 11ths and a 13th. Just 1 top 5, that was his second place finish. This one is the most interesting, Chase Briscoe. He's only ran here once in Joe Gibbs Racing equipment. He was in Stewart-Haas Racing stuff for the first few years in the next-gen car, but still some very, very good numbers. He, of course, won the first race at Phoenix in the next-gen car back in the spring of 2022. Started in 6th, some good stage points, pretty dominant win for the 14 car. Followed it up with a great showing in the fall, starting 3rd, finishing 4th, earning 15 out of 20 possible stage points. Finished 7th the first time in 2023, struggled a bit in the fall, and then a 9th in the spring race in 2024, his final top 10 that he's earned here. Been involved in a couple of accidents, taking damage like he did in the spring this year on that big restart crash after lap 100. Came home 35th in that one, but he has won here in Stewart-Haas Racing equipment. Definitely a sleeper pick for a guy who would come in and kind of just take this championship. I don't think a lot of people were really considering Briscoe to be a championship favorite. Starting off the season, had a very, very good playoffs up to this point, and he has the numbers at Phoenix to back up a possible win. And then last but not least, we have another race winner, William Byron. Has earned a ton of stage points here. Only one race he's earned less than 10 stage points. That was in the fall race in 2022. Still came home with a 6th place finish. A win here in the spring of 2023. Sat on the pole in the fall of 2023. And then sat on the pole earlier this year. Finished in 6th position after earning 18 out of 20 possible stage points. That's not even the highest. He's had a few races at 17. And then of course 19 in his win here in 2023. Statistically, Byron, the best full-time Cup Series driver at Phoenix. Definitely going to be one to watch out for this weekend. If they unload like they have here in the past, 24 car will be very difficult to beat. So just to compare numbers among the 4 drivers in the playoffs, all on one board. In the best finish category, we have 2 winners, William Byron, Chase Briscoe. Denny Hamlin with the best finish of 2nd. Kyle Larson with the best finish of 3rd. So all 4 of these guys have gotten very, very good results at Phoenix in the Gen 7. William Byron with a sub-5 average start coming in at 4.1. Been very, very quick in qualifying. We know how important qualifying position, track position is here in these championship races. Kyle Larson, 7.7. He is under 10.0, as is Denny Hamlin with an 8.0. Chase Briscoe at 15.6. Again, 6 of 7 of his starts coming in Stewart-Haas Racing equipment. We know their struggles in their final couple of years in the Cup Series. Definitely take that into account. Into average finish, William Byron 8.0, the only driver below 10. Just outside though, Kyle Larson with a 10.1. Denny Hamlin not far off that with a 10.9. Chase Briscoe at 16.9. Alright, last but not least, I wanted to look at which of these drivers have been in the Final Four before and what their results were. We'll start off with Denny Hamlin, who has made the Final Four 4 times up to this point, twice in the Homestead era and twice in the Phoenix era. He finished 3rd in 2014, the first year of the elimination format, then finished 4th in 2019, was running pretty strong before they put a huge piece of tape on the nose. I still don't really get that decision. That was the last year at Homestead. The first year at Phoenix, Denny Hamlin made it again for the 2nd year in a row. He finished 4th in 2020, and then in 2021 for his 3rd appearance in a row. The final year of the Gen 6 car, Hamlin finished in 3rd position. Kyle Larson has 2 Final Four appearances. His first in 2021, he won the championship in that 10-win season, his first one with Hendrick Motorsports. And then in 2023, the 2nd year of the Gen 7 car, he finished 2nd in the standings to Ryan Blaney, who beat him on the final restart. William Byron has 2 Final Four appearances. This is his 3rd consecutive appearance. In 2023, he ranked 3rd in the championship, as he did last year in 2024. Chase Briscoe has never made the Final Four before. This is his first appearance. Kyle Larson, the only champion in the Final Four, so we have a 75% chance of seeing a new champion, which I think is pretty cool. Always nice to have more active champions in the field. So what am I hoping happens this weekend? Well, I think for the underdog Cinderella type story, Chase Briscoe coming in his first year in top stuff at Joe Gibbs Racing and winning a championship would be really, really cool. Him and James Small have been a great pairing. They've adapted very well together. I think that'd be really impressive for those two guys and that entire team to win a championship in their first season together. Part of me is also rooting for Denny Hamlin. The guy's got 60 wins, in the top 10 all time in NASCAR Cup Series victories. It would be a shame if he doesn't have at least one championship to go with that. One of the last guys that's still racing from my childhood, one of the last guys racing who ran the Gen 4. I think it would be great for him to cap off his career with a championship. Don't take that as anti-Hendrick bias. I could totally see a case for William Byron too. Everything that happened at Las Vegas, for him to turn it around and come out and make the Final Four is still really cool. But I definitely want to see a new champion. I wouldn't be too upset if Kyle Larson won a championship. He's been so strong in the next-gen car. He definitely deserves one in the next-gen car at some point. You could really make a case for all four of these guys, which I think is really important. I don't want there to be a ton of debates about who this champion is, especially once we hear what the format changes to. We need to celebrate the champion this year. Everyone's racing under this format. Been a lot of competitive drivers this year. We have a really good Final Four, so hopefully we have a great race this weekend. Thanks so much for watching.